get underway. So we give Brad as much time as possible to show you this really fascinating look at Analyst and how it works with MusicMaster. Brad's background, as many of you probably know, is he really is viewed as an expert in the field in terms of data research, Arbitron data, utilizing Arbitron data on a radio station level, crunching it and breaking it apart. And I know you'll be impressed with what you see today if you don't know Brad already. So without further ado, Brad Regal, you have the floor.
Well, Mark, thank you very much. Thanks for the nice introduction and the chance to meet with you guys today. I am a bit more of an expert in Analyst than I am with MusicMaster, but so if I stumble around in this part of it, feel free to jump right in and tell me where to go or what to do. But the initial concept of interfacing Analyst with MusicMaster lies in linking the titles together between the two systems. It also works with categories, and it works with your data fields. And I've displayed a sample database here in MusicMaster, looking at the entire library. And there are a number of fields that are set up here, and what we're going to do is change the display and talk about setting up those fields. The MusicMaster team, if there aren't fields available, then the client simply needs to contact you and have that modification made to the database. Is that correct? Can anyone hear me? Oh, maybe everybody's muted.
That is correct. That is correct, Brad.
Okay. Sorry to spring that question on you. But I'm going to simply work with the fields that I have in here today, and we're going to work with fields like P1 positive, P1 burn, total like, total okay, those kind of things. We can actually get rid of a couple of these. And I think we need to go over here and set these up. And we'll put total positive up here and total love right there. So this is what we're going to display. Setting those fields up, and again, jump in if I'm in the wrong place, is done here. And I've gone down and looked for fields that are numeric and fixed or float, depending on what your needs are for the data, and then simply created names and abbreviations for each of those data fields. Again, if you don't see those fields existing in MusicMaster, then I think a contact with the MusicMaster support team will get them to update your database so that you have the room for this stuff. This particular demo database has a ton of fields, some of which we're not going to use, but we are going to use some of these here, the total positive, total love, the stuff that we've now displayed on the screen. And you can see at this time that the data is empty, and if we look at like a power category, you can see I've now got displayed empty data there. Now, if you're in the process of updating data, you have a new test, but previous data exists in here, and you're going to put it in the same fields, then I believe you can simply highlight these fields in MusicMaster, hit the delete key, and it would clear the fields for you. I guess we'll show that at the other end once we get the data linked in. So you're set up at this point with categories, with your fields, what you want to display. Conceptually, what we're going to do is go into Analyst and link this database together, which is done in Utilities, System Setup. There's a Music Sync tab, and you can see that the MusicMaster option here has the program location. And I have this one physically set up already, but we'll look at editing it, and adding it is just simply the same way, except you have to select the MMD file, which would be your MusicMaster database. This will support multiple stations, so if you have multiple MusicMaster databases and multiple stations worth of Analyst data, then you could manage all of that in here, clearly one at a time. Click the Edit button, and it brings up the interface screen between MusicMaster and Analyst. The four-letter ID, or the call letters up here, which in this case is a demo station called Rock, are the call letters that the Analyst data is made with. And at that point, I'm going to, well, I don't have to go select it, it's done, but you would select the database, just go right to your MM1 directory, wherever you have the MMD file stored, and select the database. Analyst has mandatory fields that it needs to link in order to make this process work, and they're listed on the Mandatory Fields tab. The good news is generally they're called the same thing, and when I selected this database, it automatically linked these up. I didn't have to do anything. It's also set up to work with Spanish names here as well. It recognizes Spanish text as well as title and artist if you're working with a Spanish database. Past the mandatory fields are other fields that you can link, and this would include anything that's in the database. And when I click the Add button, you will see all of the fields that have been brought over or can be brought over from MusicMaster, and including the scores that we're going to be talking about, like the P1s. And I'm going to go select the total scores too. There's my total scores right there. Can also bring over something like a tempo. And let's see, what else would we like here? Library plays. What about an artist keyword? Helpful for sorting. You're going to be able to display these fields in Analyst once you have the songs linked. So it may be helpful for you to, when you're building a category, see particular tempo or to have availability of the artist keyword for certain types of sorts, that kind of thing. Any field literally that you can see on the screen can be interfaced, displayed, and edited in Analyst and sent back to MusicMaster. The final part of the link is telling it which categories to make visible to Analyst. In this case, we're going to choose all of them. But if you had some hold categories or things that you didn't care to see as a part of this process, then by category you could either include or exclude them, give you a way to minimize also the number of titles that are being brought over. In this case, this is a relatively small MusicMaster database, and we are going to see in just a moment that linking this process, the linking process, is going to miss a lot of titles simply because they don't exist in this database. Clearly, in a typical music test, you're going to have most of the material in your MusicMaster database that's matching up with what you've tested over in Analyst. We're ready to go at this point. We've selected the station or specified the station and the database, and set up the mandatory fields, which was actually done for us. We specified the other fields that we're going to link, including things that we want to view, as well as fields that we're going to be sending data back over to. This is the place where you specify which fields are going to be the recipients of the data. We'll see more on that in just a second. And finally, the categories themselves to link. When I click OK, that screen closes. I click OK, and I'm going to go ahead and launch my test. I have my rock station in Rockville from February of last year. And when it loads the test, it comes up with an automatic prompt. It now knows that you have the interface active between MusicMaster and this test, this station in Analyst. And so it's presenting me with the option of noting that I have MusicSync active and would I like to check my links and update my data. I'll say yes. The MusicSync screen comes up. It's getting a dump of information from MusicMaster. It's getting those fields and the categories that we told it to bring across. It's loading that library up into memory, and in a moment we're going to see it start the linking process. It's going to go through and match every single title that it can with an exact match by title and artist. It has to be an exact match. There are no horseshoes in this. It does, however, recognize some things like underscores and space in place of a space, things like that. But generally speaking, it has to be an exact match. So what it has done, and again, in this particular MusicMaster database, the one that we were looking at down here, the classic rock database, there are several missing titles. You can see here in this particular screen that the song ID column is the unique ID for the song over in MusicMaster. I'm going to tell it to bring the categories over too. So I've now brought the category list over to make it match what I have in MusicMaster. Columns that have a blank are songs that are currently not linked. It did not find a match for them in its automatic linking process. This could happen because the song simply doesn't exist in the MusicMaster database, or there is some discrepancy in the title and artist spelling. And what we're going to do is see if we can go find the song. So when I click the link button on that blank song, it comes up and shows me the entire, by default, MusicMaster database. 316 titles, which is why many of these songs don't match up, because the test is actually larger than the MusicMaster database. But as you can see here, we have the entire library in front of us. And if we wanted to go hunting for Journey, or if we wanted to sort by title and wanted to go hunting for the word lights, then we could do that. And in fact, I know this song is not in here, but we could sort it by artist, even category. This is the MusicMaster category that it's in currently. Or we can tell the system to show only close matches, which in many cases is going to make exact matches with either the title or the artist, and it makes some other assumptions to try to get you close. It's not a perfect science, so if you think a song exists in the database and you don't see a close match, then it's worth clicking Show All Titles and going and making sure that the close matches logic didn't bypass the song you're looking for. In this case, Lights by Journey is simply not in this database. It doesn't exist. Now, at this point, I could go back to MusicMaster and add the song if I want to, and reinitiate the linking process, and then it would see the song. For purposes of our demonstration today, we're simply going to kind of click through this and link as many songs as we can, and then move on with the presentation. Since this is not able to be linked, I don't want to click the link button, because right now if I clicked it, it would link any way you want it with lights. We don't want to do that. And we could do the same thing with Steppenwolf, which I know also doesn't exist in here, but Magic Carpet Ride does. We don't want to link that. We might say, I don't want to click all the way through each one of these things. I'm missing a bunch of them, which hopefully in your test process, you'll come up with many more links, because your database and your music test will align themselves much more closely. But there are title and artist spelling discrepancies, and this is where they're fixed. The easy way to move through this process is to use the auto link feature. And when you click auto link, it's going to basically do what we did with link, but it's going to move you song to song to song to song. It's going to just jump down the screen and move us through these unlinked titles. We'll do a couple of these until we find one to link, and then we're going to quit out of this and keep moving with the presentation. But auto link jumps on to the next one. That's not it. I don't have a match. I'm going to say next. American Pie is not in there. And I'm going to click next. Lean on Me is not in there. Here Comes the Sun is not one of the Beatles songs in here. Brown Eyed Girl doesn't match Moondance. We're going to hit a match here in just a second. There we go. Small Town, John Mellencamp. Small Town, John Cougar Mellencamp. We want to link that title. You can see behind us, if I can move this out of the way, Small Town is where the highlighter currently is. If I click link, then it will have updated the title back here. So that's the process. We can, I think there's Open Arms. We already decided. We don't have that. Journey, Blinded by the Light Man for Men. Great. Okay. So we're going to stop auto-linking. At this point in your workflow process, you've got everything linked up that you want to have linked up. There may be songs that you tested that aren't in your database, so they're not going to have a link. Any song that is not linked may not be interfaced to MusicMaster. It's going to get ignored. It's going to get dropped. So it's important that if you want data to come across between the two systems, then it does have to have a link. And that may require you to go back to MusicMaster and add the song, if necessary. When this process is done with linking, then we click Close, and it's going to come back to the actual Analyst screen. You'll note that I have displayed the previous category column. Category column is blank. Now, the thinking is here, as you've probably been aware if you're used to working with Analyst. Previous category is the category where the song currently is in the database. Category is where I'm going to assign the song to in Analyst. Now, you may be using Analyst to do this sort. I know some that use this interface just get the scores back over into MusicMaster, where they're able to see other fields of MusicMaster and sort over there. So there's a quick way to take everything and move it from where it is to where it's going to be, or else to keep it in the same location. And if you click Edit, there is an option that says Clone Previous Category to Category. And when I click that, it's very destructive, by the way. If you've done a sort and you're happy with the way it is, don't do this. Because it's going to come up and warn you. You're going to overwrite any existing settings, and yes, we're sure we want to do it. We click Yes. And now you can see that it has cloned what's here over to here. We're going to use the songs as they are categorized, we're going to use those categories in just a moment to show the export process from Analyst to MusicMaster. So songs have to be assigned to categories to make this process work. You don't have to update those categories in the linking process, however. Some of the other options that are available to you once you have this interface active is to go into Analyst, and with the where you set up the columns, the non-data columns, I'm going to go to code columns, and here now I see all of the fields that I have currently interfaced from MusicMaster. If I want to show something on the screen like artist keyword or my library plays or my tempo, I can double click to do it too. I can click OK, and now those fields become available in Analyst. And if I even wanted to edit them, then I could click Edit, and I would be able to go, I'm not going to make any changes here, but I would be able to go in and make certain changes, like maybe I decided, well, maybe I will change it, that Hotel California is really 3s rather than 5s. At this point, let's say you finished your sort, and you want to do the export to Analyst. Oh, one other thing, let me back up. The fields that I now have displayed here are also currently available in the category screen. And on the Detail tab, with this interface active, you also have a second tab that comes alive in Analyst for song codes. And there, basically like your song card screen, are the other fields as they exist in MusicMaster at this time. So if it's handy for you to have extra fields available in Analyst, then make sure you set them up in the linking process. They'll be available to you here in these various places. So I'm ready to send some scores over to MusicMaster. One thing I need to make sure I have done at the top of the screen is to have the scores displayed here that I'm going to be sending over, because it is the scores that are currently displayed that are the ones that are going to be available to us in the export process. With everything ready to go, I'm going to click File, Export, and then Music Sync Export to MusicMaster will be the first option. It comes up with the export screen. The very first screen, the Start screen, it is giving us a warning that we have unlinked titles. This is our last chance to say, oh yeah, I forgot I needed to go do whatever it was. You can even go back to that screen by clicking on this Check Links button right here. But if you're ready to go and have everything the way that you want it, then you can simply click Proceed with Export, and it will let you move forward. On this screen, again, as I was saying, the export is currently managed by category. I expect in a pretty soon-to-be-released update that there'll be a way to simply tag songs and export them here. But at this time, you can do it by category, although you don't have to export the category assignment. So if I want to send all these the songs that I have linked, I want to send scores over for all of them. I can do that. But if I don't want this export process to reassign songs to different categories, then I will uncheck this option. And I can show you the way in just a second. We're going to do some back and forth here in just a second to kind of show this interface off. But for the time being, let's just send some scores over. With that done, I'm going to jump to the scores screen, where I can set up the interface between what's in the MusicMaster database and the scores that are in Analyst. Pretty simple stuff based on the way I've labeled them here. Total positive is going to equal total positive. And let's see, how about total love is going to equal total love. And we'll just do a few more of them here. Total okay, like this. And maybe total tired. And we'll just go ahead and round them out. And not familiar, not familiar. And let me see, cum positive, like that. We'll do, might as well do the rest. Since I'm not going to take an hour apparently today, this is too quick. We could spend the rest of the time linking titles, but we won't put you through that. Okay, so I have all the scores set up that I want to export. I'm going to say next, and I'm up to the finish flag, and if everything's ready to go, you've done the backup of your MusicMaster database, so in case anything catastrophic happens, you can restore yourself to where you were and try it again, or just move on with your life. But with that done, we're ready to go. We click the export button. It comes up with one final, you're ready to go, and we say, yep. And the Analyst screen closes. Go back to MusicMaster. And before we even had a chance to bring the screen up, you can see clearly that MusicMaster has been updated with the scores that that we just sent over. And at that point, if we wanted to do it again, like you're doing another test, you can click delete. And I will show you now, let's say, recategorizing something. Let's go back and find a song like China Grove is currently in A. So we can go into that's the one. And I am going to take China Grove and I'm going to move it to a B. At this stage of the game, we're going to export. We're going to move through a couple of these real quick just to show this off, and I think I'm going to just send over category B, but I am going to export category assignments this time. Once I have the category assignments thing checked, the conflict screen is presented to us. You note that we skipped over it before because we weren't exporting category assignments. So Analyst knew it didn't matter whether you had conflicts or not. The concept of conflicts, and you can see that it's tallied up 17 of them in this particular case, is that within the categories that you're exporting, there may be songs that you didn't test. And those songs are still residing over, in this case, category B, but they didn't get tested. If you had gone through an elaborate sorting process and getting your counts straight of what you want to have where, this is kind of like your reminder warning that although you've found the perfect 39 songs for this category and you're ready to rotate those songs, that, oh, by the way, you have songs sitting over in category B that are not a part of this, and it's going to affect your overall tally. We can leave the extra titles where they are, or we could even go in and say we want to move those titles to some other category. Here's the 17 songs that didn't get tested, but they are in the MusicMaster database in category B. If I wanted to move them somewhere else, and I can highlight them and say move them to category C, and it would do that. For the songs I didn't even test. But that's your way of kind of fixing those conflicts. Go ahead, next scores. They're still memorized from what we did. We say yes. And it's going to do it. We go back to MusicMaster, and you can see Doobie Brothers has been updated to category B. If we go to B, we'll see all of our scores for all of the songs in the B category have been exported as they exist over in Analyst. There they are. Well, that was 22 minutes. So, Mark, are there any questions or things that I may have missed or something you would like me to go through further?
Well, let's see if we do have any questions. I don't have any questions online here. I'm just curious whether there might be an opportunity for us to talk about potentially how to utilize, and I'm going to throw just kind of a softball out to the rest of the panel here today, about maybe how we can utilize these research scores in MusicMaster. Maybe that's something we should address today. Joe or Jill, do you think that might be this an opportune time to bring that up? Because one of the things that I find in talking to customers all the time, Brad, is that they spend a lot of time using your product or in spending money on research, and they get all these numbers, and then they get them into their scheduling system where they don't, and hopefully today more people will use your product and realize that they can bring it right into MusicMaster, but then utilize the functionality of the software to take advantage of those scores.
Well, I think, Mark, you're certainly correct that, when you have Analyst set up, like Brad's just showed you, you can say, okay, these are the total positive numbers. And so now we're going to bring that TPPOS column over here, and now we might start to think about what we can do as far as sorting this list. So if we sort this list and decide that, you know, a number, say above 70, is the most positive number we have, or whatever, you know, whatever range of numbers you happen to have, now you can start to do some very interesting things. First of all, that might help you decide categories. You might decide that something that's more positive goes into a category that spins more often. Or you, not or, but and what you also might want to do is to do some mixing with those fields. So if you have different scores in the different fields, say the like score and the positive score that you see on the screen right now, we might decide that we want a blend of that in an hour to create, and I know there's certainly one person who does this, one group that does this, which is flow. So as you're going through an hour or a quarter hour of your particular radio station, how often do you want to hear something that maybe tests a little lower? You want to make sure that's surrounded by things that test higher. So at that particular point, we can set up rules in the system that indicate how often they'll show up, how often they appear in the hour, what they segue to, those kinds of things. You know, I was wondering, you know, Joe actually did a session about optimum scheduling goals a few weeks ago. I'm not trying to put you on the spot either, Joe, but I was wondering maybe how maybe we could join in here and we could talk a little bit, you know, with the rule tree about how we could do that.
Well, if you can hear me, then I might be able to do
you're
it.
fine.
Okay.
You're loud and clear.
I'm on a new computer today, but yeah, if you make me the presenter here, I can show you how optimum goal scheduling can be used. And once you have the songs tested and the test scores imported, and you can use Analyst to recategorize the music. And then once you have that done, you can actually set up rules. Now in this database, I've got the rule tree open, and we're going to open up the optimum goal scheduling, and in a category, let's just go to the A category, for example. If you have, in this database, we have a total positive, total negative, and a tune-out factor. But let's say we brought in the total positive and total negative from Analyst, and we have fresh scores. What this will do, if you add this goal as an optimum goal scheduling goal, and of course you'd have your other goals like optimum song rest, optimum hour exposure, and so on. What will happen is, in the optimum goal scheduling, as a part of the tiebreaker process when it's trying to find the best possible song to play, it's going to favor the songs that have a higher total positive score. So where everything else is the same or very similar as far as the scores for how long the song's rested, how many hours it's played in, since it's played in this hour last, or how many shifts it's played in, or even your artist rest, how close it is to optimum artist rest, you will now look at the total positive score and say, okay, I'm going to favor the one that has the highest score, and tend to choose that one. And you can also, for a negative score, you can use optimum numeric minimum value to also favor the one with the lowest negative or burn score. Basically, there are other options that you have available to you outside of the optimum goal scheduling. You can also go to the numeric field rules, and you can find your total positive and total negative fields. And you're going to have, as Brad pointed out, you're going to have different fields in your database. And if there are fields in Analyst that you've got scores for and you want to bring those into MusicMaster and use those this way as setting up rules, then by all means contact us, and we can, you just send a backup of your database and we can add the fields pretty much instantly and send it right back to you. So you can get whatever numeric fields that you need. There are two different kinds of numeric fields. There's the integer kind that don't have a decimal point or a plus and minus sign, and if you need one with a decimal score or negative numbers, then you'll want a floating field. Now in this database, you can take the total positive score here, and you've got some other choices that you can set up as far as actual rules are concerned. So, for example, we might want to say that we want a record sum or a record average. Let's do a record average. Now, in this case, you're going to want to know approximately what your range of scores are. But on average, you can say over a group of 3 songs, I need an average of minimum of 65, let's say, and a maximum of 99. And basically what it's going to do is take 3 songs, or if you like 4 songs, 5 songs, whatever, and any 3 songs in sequence, it's going to look at the average total positive score and make sure that that average is between these 2 limits. And you can also cut this off at a sweep marker or an hour marker if you want that rule not to cross over a stop set, for example. Okay? And then another way to use the scores, I mean, there's other rules in here that you can look at, and they're all pretty much explained in the help how they work. But this is to give you another idea how you can use this as setting up rules are concerned. And of course, you can scale those rules. Another way that you can use these rules is if you're editing the schedules, and let's just go into a schedule, and hopefully there's something in here we can look at. Yeah. You can also set up, for example, a highlight for your research scores for your like and burn and familiarity, so that you have a color code to show you when where the songs are that have, for example, low burn, or where the songs are that have low familiarity. And then, of course, the last thing you can do in here is to set up an instant analysis window. And you put that up here so it makes more sense. And with the instant analysis, you could also set up an instant analysis so that you're watching, for example, over the hour, average burn, average like, average dislike, average familiarity, whatever it is you want to monitor, and any of those things in combination. So as you're editing, you can actually watch to see where those averages are, and you can set limits so that if you go outside of a range that you're comfortable with in any given hour or any given day part, or even the entire day, it'll show you in red that you've gone outside the range. So, Mark, did you think that pretty much covered that part of it?
That was. I'm glad you grabbed the ball. I lost my audio there, and you picked it up. Very good.
No problem.
Do we have any questions? Have any questions come in?
No, we have not.
Questions. Okay, very good. Brad, is there anything else that you'd like to add based on what Joe just talked about?
Wow, and it's great to see this other end of it in that detail. That was excellent, and just makes this interface really come to life. I think just in conclusion is sort of just a quick reiteration of the process. You know, linking the call letters to the MusicMaster database, setting up the fields that you want to interface, and then actually doing the song linking process, which I don't think I mentioned when I did it, but as you make those links, they're memorized, so you only have to link them once. So if you do your first music test, it doesn't quite match up with what you have in MusicMaster, as you do that linking process, those links are memorized. Come back and do another music test 6 months later, those songs are linked. Or if you're doing call-outs so that this data is being updated every week or every 2 weeks, then those links are memorized. So you only have to do it once. Once that's done, when you're ready to go with your scores, you just run the export wizard, and you see how fast the scores come over. It catches a refresh before you can even go to the MusicMaster window. So it's really a very powerful interface, and something that's been great to have worked out with you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity today to show it off a little bit and to address any concerns that people might have had. We must have really nailed it because nobody's got any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Brad. Do you want to give out your contact information, the best way to reach you if anybody has any specific questions?
Sure. You could, C-Stone Research is the domain. Cornerstone Research is the company. Somebody took my owner, so we're just cstoneresearch.com. I'm Brad at cstoneresearch.com. You can find us on the website there, too. And you'll see some of the other things that we're doing besides Analyst. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak with you guys today.
Thank you very much, Brad. For everyone, once again, next week we're going to, if you want to sign up for next week's webinar, it will be on the schedule editor. We'll take an hour and just do a kind of a focused look on that at the same time, same channel, 1 o'clock Central Time. And then we actually have posted several more weeks in advance now. We have Keith Hill on the 25th, tools and maintenance of your database on April 1st. The 8th is setting up weekend specials, which we get a lot of calls about, how to do weekend special programming. And then on the 15th, if you're not doing your taxes, we'll be talking about using audio files in MusicMaster. And then on the 22nd, how to evaluate an inherited database, which is kind of like cleaning up somebody else's mess if you've gotten one of those or ever had to do that. So that's the schedule for upcoming weeks. Once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for your interest in MusicMaster. And if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to us at MusicMaster. All of our emails are the same. Mine is mark@mmwin.com. And Joe and Jill and all of us appreciate you being here today. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. Thanks.